No more staying up late and sleeping the mornings away, kids. It's just about time to head back to school. A lot of kids already back in school. This morning I'm joined by Dr. John Schuen. He's the Division Chief of Pulmonary and Sleep Medicine with Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
So how much sleep do kids need? I'm sure it's different for different ages.
Yes, that's absolutely right. For grade school kids, it's 9 to 11 hours of sleep. That's a lot. Strangely enough, though, as kids get older, the sleep needs don't change that much. Our high schoolers, our teenage young people, actually still need between 8.5 and 9.5. And that's a lot of sleep given the pressures and demands on their life.
Absolutely. I find that fascinating too when 0 hour is starting at 6:40 and then there's the sporting practices that they schedule even earlier and then they're staying after for practice and homework and all kinds of clubs.
Part-time jobs and extracurriculars. It's amazing how much they have to pack into a day.
Okay, so what are we losing out on when we don't get enough sleep?
Well, what you're talking about is sleep deprivation,
okay.
and certainly in someone where they're getting less sleep than their body needs, and that's even different for every individual. Then what happens is that you tend to be less sharp during the day, so you're tired and groggy. You're not going to retain as much information. It's going to be hard to focus on the tasks at hand, and you're generally going to be slower than what you would be if you had a good night's or a couple of good nights of sleep.
We don't want any of that.
Exactly the opposite of what you want for school.
Yeah. So what's your advice for getting our kids to sleep, to bed, to get enough sleep?
Well, I think the time to start is now, before the school year begins. And so I would recommend that parents start to move their sleep clock back. You know, find how much time their child needs, and then start to move their sleep clock back anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour every night until they reach their optimal bedtime. And so that way it's less disturbing for their own internal sleep clock. You know, we can move our own sleep clock manually by hours every night. You can go to bed at 9 o'clock one night and 1 a.m. the next night, but our sleep clock does not move like that. Our internal mechanisms move much slower in increments of 15 and 30 minutes.
And we can't bank it either. I always think that I can bank some sleep. Not going to work.
No, it does not
How about environment for kids to sleep in?
Yeah, environment is extremely important. So looking at lighting, making sure it's dark at night, with the exception of maybe a little night light if a child needs or wants that, and bright during the day. We are creatures of light, and so having bright lights in the morning is very important for wakefulness. Making sure the temperature is right, kind of the Goldilocks syndrome, not too cold, not too warm, just right.
All right. Eating well, physical activity during the day, all these things we kind of take for granted and sometimes write off or cut short for all different reasons.
Exactly.
It's going to add to how productive our sleep is.
Precisely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really, really good advice.